All right, awesome, guys. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Sharad. I'm the owner and founder of Recently. I live in Toronto, Canada, and invest right outside of Chicago, Illinois, in Lake County, Indiana. We do about 30, 40 deals a year. I would say half about fix and flip, other half turnkey properties, selling to other, renting them out and selling as turnkey properties. I also own a property management company. We manage about 165 to 175 units, and I own about 50 rental properties on my own. So that's kind of how I got started buying rental properties. And with this call, I'm super excited. We talked about kind of breaking down, like having themes around these calls, doing one on data management, one on marketing, which we did last week, with Tony Javier. And this week, I'm excited to do a call on sales. Dakota and I, Dakota uses Recently. He and I connected a couple of weeks ago, and he has amazing experience on the sales side. So I asked him if he wanted to come on this call and just kind of share his experience and help anybody answer questions about sales and also do some role playing. Dakota, you want to introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Sure, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
So thanks for being on the call, man.
Absolutely, man. So I'm a sales trainer for Future Flipper, which is Ryan Pineda's. My background is sales from car sales. So I sold cars for 6 years, and I got salesperson of the month, like month after month after month. I had like 40 salesperson of the months out of like the 50 months that I was there. So 4 times salesperson of the year. So just really excelled at that. And then from there got into real estate, and now we own like, I don't know, 60 something rentals. We probably buy somewhere around 15 to 20 properties a month. And now we have a team of salespeople like basically underneath us. And basically I do sales training as well on the side for not just for Future Flipper, but also for myself. So it's a little bit about me.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, you have amazing experience, and you're actually out there doing deals month in, month out. You're not doing like 1 or 2 deals. You're doing like, 10, 15, 20 deals a month. I mean, let's just get right into it. Like, what are some of the like fundamentals, about sales, especially like given where we are in the market, that you think are like necessary, like where you see like you lose, some newbie investor losing a deal because they're not handling, they might have spent a lot of money on the marketing and they get this deal come in. I mean, they get this hot lead come in, but they're not able to close on it. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I see a lot of new people do is they just take whatever number the person wants and then they automatically put it under contract for that, because most of the time, whenever we're new, like we like to help other people and we like to give them exactly what they ask for. So we're like, okay, hey, how much do you want for your property? Well, I want 150,000. Okay, cool. Well, then they lock it up for 150,000, and then they go and try to sell it to other investors. When realistically, $150,000 retail, they never told them like, what they could do or try to negotiate at all. They just basically lock it up for whatever the seller tells them. So instead of like, having a negotiation process, it's more of like just putting it under contract and seeing what happens. So that's what I would say that new people do the most. What I usually walk through with a lot of other people is actually having a structure for how a sales call is going to go. And like, okay, you have to qualify, then you got to build rapport, you have to find out about the property, then you're going to find out about the price point that they want, then you're going to ask them about basically lowering it. And then from there, you either set up the appointment or you're actually going to go and sign a contract, depending on if you're doing it virtually or if you're actually going in person. So just having a framework will actually help to lower that price by a lot, and also know where you're at, because that's another thing I see new salespeople do is they have no idea where the call is going and it goes all over the place. And then they're talking about, fixing up the property. Then they're talking about how much they want for it. Then they're going back to rapport building. And like realistically, it should be kind of a systemized process, start to finish, of where you're going to be at in the call. So
awesome, man. Have you noticed anything change with where the market is right now? I mean, it's a totally different market from where it was like 3-6 months ago. Like, what have you noticed, like the biggest shift in when you have a lead calling? I mean, you're doing a whole bunch of deals a month. Like, what have you noticed change when you're talking to these sellers?
I've noticed a lot more fear from sellers, which is like, 60 days ago, whenever they first, or 90 days, I can't even remember how long it's been now, whenever they first started raising the rates, we were telling sellers like, hey, the market's changing, we got to get more aggressive, and they didn't believe us. They thought that it was just like a sales tactic. And now they're starting to believe us. We actually just bought a property. It was on the market for 300,000 and we bought it for 225, and they signed a mutual release with a real estate agent, and they're going with us now. So, and then we've had real estate agents reaching out to us like, hey, we want a cash offer for this thing. So it's just interesting how people can be asking. We just had one today call in. They listed it on Facebook Marketplace for 340,000. And we offered them 220, and they're actually thinking about accepting that. So what somebody's asking for and what they're willing to accept are completely different. And just the fact that agents are reaching out to us now, it's completely shifted. And it depends on if you're flipping or if you're wholesaling. But obviously, if you're flipping, your flips need to be that much better. You have to be willing to negotiate. And honestly, we just accept any kind of inspection response. We're just like, yep, like we are saying yes to everything, because we do not want to lose that buyer, because they're a little bit more difficult to come by.
Right. And Dakota, I don't know if you mentioned, like, what market are you in? You're in Indianapolis, right?
Not in Indianapolis. It's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So it's
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah.
two and a half hours north.
Like about an hour outside of where we are in my market, right? Northwest, hour and a half.
Yep. Very similar.
Yeah. And have you changed, like, before we get into like some role playing and take any questions, have you changed anything in terms of like, or I'm sure you have, like, what have you changed in terms of how you're calculating your ARV and, your resale value time on the market? And it's your primary acquisition. I know you're looking to acquire rental properties, but for all the properties that you're buying, are you primarily looking to wholesale, double close, fix and flip?
Yeah, so wholesale is a relative term. So my definition of wholesale would be we're signing an assignment. We wholesale a lot, so we're actually closing on a lot of them, and then we're listing them. We may go back to wholesaling more, because obviously whenever you take it down and you own it, you have a lot bigger of a risk. So we may go back into assigning, but we had the private money, we had the contractors. So backup plan was to always flip it if we needed to. So what we've shifted and changed is one, our profit margin needs to be bigger. Like, it just has to be, because you're taking on more risk. Our time on market has went from an average of 4 months. We estimated at 6 months, which is still probably aggressive for us, but like, we have to be conservative for this. So basically our minimum profit used to be $20,000 on a flip. Now it's 30. Whenever we're running our ARVs, we were already pretty conservative. I'm not going to lie. Like, we were already, like, if we saw comps at 200 and we saw a comp at 230, we're using the 200. Like, so we already use the lower. So we always just use the lowest comp that we see that's like clumped together. So, if there's a range from 200 to 230, we're using the 200, because we know without a doubt that it's going to be worth that. But we increased our profit margin, and then we increased our time that we expect to be on the market. So obviously that takes off at least another $20,000 off the purchase price, but we're taking them down ourselves. So we're assuming a lot more risk. If you're wholesaling, then obviously you want to leave more margin, because again, the end buyer is experiencing more risk right now. Like, it is more risky for flipping properties and actually taking these down. I've seen even our coach, Ryan Pineda, he's the one who convinced us to flip, because we were mostly wholesaling. Now he's going just to wholesaling. So a lot of people are not flipping anymore, but I think if we hedge our bets and we still buy them right, I still think it makes sense to flip, because people are still buying. Like, they're just sitting on the market a little bit longer, but they are still buying, and they just have to be that much nicer. So instead of shortcutting like before, whenever we were flipping our properties, we were just throwing them on the market. Like, there would be some minor things that it's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal now. Everything needs to be like top notch. It needs to be in really good shape, and you might have to actually negotiate. But that's basically what we've done, is made our process just smoother and paying that much more attention to detail on our flips.
Yeah, that's what we're doing with our retail flips. Like, if whatever the buyer is asking, you're like, yep, that's fine. You want credit, you want us to do it, whatever is comfortable to you, we'll do that. It's a different market, man. Cool, awesome, man. Hey guys, anybody has any questions that they want to ask Dakota? Any like situations that you run into with the sellers, or I can just kind of go through some of the situations that we run into. You can unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat. Either one is fine. Oh, Emily, did you have something? Sorry.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm curious, I'm a new wholesaler, and I'm finding that I'm trying to create some verbiage for how to explain that I'm a wholesaler, because I do have like a good amount of leads, but I'm trying to find the right verbiage for that, because I've just noticed that some people really don't like wholesalers. I'm learning also that some kind of honest, but like something along those lines. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. Give me like a specific example of like what you're saying and then what they say to you to where they're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that or not.
So I basically say like, so our company, first and foremost, we look at buy and holds. If it doesn't fit our portfolio, we might look at flipping it. And lastly, we'll partner with our other friends and investors, something like that.
Sure. I think that you don't necessarily have to say anything. I don't think you have to let them know or anything unless they ask. And then all you have to basically do is walk them through the process. So you don't have to say, hey, we're going to be partnering up with these people or anything like that. You just assume that they already know how the process goes, or tell them the process. Hey, here's how it's going to work. Basically, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions about the property. We're going to find out if we're in the range. If we are in the range, then basically what we're going to do is we're going to send somebody out there to verify all the information that you gave me is accurate. And then after that, I might have some of my other partners walk through the property. And then we'll go ahead and close within 30 days. Does that sound fair? So basically it's just assuming like the process. You're telling them, hey, here's the process. You sound like a professional, and you're just letting them know that I'm going to have partners and this is how it works. You don't have to be like, hey, is it okay if I have this person walk through there? No, like, hey, this is the process. This is how it works. And then if they object to anything, then you just, you basically handle it at that point.
Okay. So that's like in your initial like phone call.
Yes.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, what typically, you should, since you do buy and hold also, wholesaling is just an exit strategy. You're not necessarily a wholesaler, you're a real estate investor, but you use wholesaling as an exit strategy just in case, you're not going to flip it, you're not going to buy and hold, you're just picking your strategy. So I wouldn't necessarily ever call myself that at all, so just to piggyback off what he said.
Yeah, no, that's 100% accurate. Is it like for us, especially specifically, is that's one way that we're going to do it. We're a little bit different. I don't know your situation or anything, but like if we give people numbers, we also know that we're affecting their lives. So if we give them a number, we say that we're going to buy their property, we're buying their property at that price. It does not matter if whether we get it sold or not. If you're not able to do that, then you basically need to, hey, don't do anything. Don't move anything out until we get through this process of like my contractor coming out. It's going to be within a couple weeks. Like make sure that you're very clear that it's not set in stone just because you have a contract or anything like that. There's still other check marks that you have to do, and you have to get other people on board. So there's a way to still do it ethically, and make sure that you're not affecting their life. Because that's something that I actually just had on my last sales calls. It's very important to be in integrity with who you are, what you're saying, and never, ever, ever lie to them. Because if you do, then basically what you're going to do is like, you'll be able to do this for a short amount of time, but eventually you're going to hurt yourself and like your own feelings to where you won't be able to do this for very long. If you feel like you're not helping somebody, it's not going to be good long-term.
Yeah.
I mean, feel free to, like, if you want to role play kind of the exact situation that you're running into, like, feel free to do that. It's like, if you don't feel comfortable, I can do that. And kind of, you can just fill in if the situation that you're running into. We don't wholesale, like we close and everything. So we don't necessarily run into that situation, but like exact verbiage that your sellers are saying, if you want to run that by Dakota, yeah, feel free to do that.
Yeah. I also have my my entire script. I don't know if you want me to go over like my structure at all, but I do have that because I saw somebody ask like what your taxes are for being down price or
right
stuff like that. So if you guys want me to go over my entire script, my framework,
that would be good.
or if you want me to role play, whatever you guys want me to do.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And then we can just role play a couple of like situations that I run into with my business. And if anybody else wants to jump in, they can do that. If you want to share your screen, that's totally fine.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to just go over this really briefly. Obviously, a sales call can go a lot of different ways, but what I always tell people is sales is so much like you have to get used to saying the same thing over and over and over again, because you might know what to say, but then in the moment not be able to say it because you don't have that, like you don't have it automatically ingrained in you. And then also whenever you're taking calls, a lot of times you're sitting there running the ARVs, you're looking at the property, you're trying to find out all this information. So the last thing you want to be doing is thinking about what should I be saying? What should I be asking next? It should already be ingrained in you. So realistically, that's why we practice, and we practice this script and we have a framework all the time. So I already know where I need to be at every step of the way. And now I'm not thinking about what to say. It comes automatically. So I'm basically going to walk you guys through like how it comes. This is going to be incoming call script. Outgoing is very similar. The only difference is going to be just the beginning. So anyway, like let's say we send out a lot of direct mail. Somebody's going to say, hey, I saw a letter come in the mail. I saw a sign, you know, says you wanted to make an offer on my property. First thing that you have to do, awesome. Did you have a property you were interested in selling? Or if they say that specific address, were you interested in selling that property? Yeah, I was interested in selling that property. Then you say, awesome. Is it all right if I ask you a couple quick questions about it while I look it up? If they say no, then realistically what I tell them is like, then we go through like the next steps, but you really need that yes before you move on, because a lot of times what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, I got this letter from you. Cool. Were you interested in selling it? No, I just wanted to see what your offer was. You know, they're just like calling just to like, you know, they're going to keep trying to put the ball in your court. You need them to say, yes, I want to sell my property before ever moving on to the next step. Otherwise, you're just wasting both of your guys' times. Usually what I say in a situation like that is, if they say, no, I'm not interested, I just want to see what your offer was, I usually say something like, well, we're not actually an appraisal company. We are only interested in talking to people in order to buy their homes, because that's what we do, is we buy the properties. If you're interested in selling, I'd love to discuss the offer with you. And then see what they say to that. Then if they say, yes, I'm interested, cool. Is it all right if I ask you a couple quick questions about it while I look it up? You need them to say, yes, they want to sell the property before moving on to the next step. So that's step one. Step two, this is going to be the longest portion. Like you need to know basically everything about the property. So usually I started off with an open-ended thing. You know, what's the situation with the property? I literally just say that. I leave it open-ended. What's the situation with the property? And then from there, they might say, well, what do you mean? And then you just say, well, is it rented, vacant? Are you living there? And then you just stop and then let them tell you. They will talk they might talk for 5 minutes and then you might have to interject, but most of the time they're giving you everything that you want to know about it. And then if they tell you the situation, then you say, okay, are there any repairs that need to be made? And then you know, you're going to find out if it's vacant. If it's vacant, obviously there's more stuff you need to know. If it's tenants in there, then you're going to want to ask a lot more questions. This is a question that I usually ask depending on their situation. Sometimes this pisses people off, but it's still an important question. And this is the nicest way that I found to ask this question. Is there a balance that we would need to pay off? Instead of saying, hey, how much do you owe on it? Because for some reason, like that sounds abrasive, but if you say,
that's actually really good, man. Yeah. We asked like, do you have a mortgage on the house? And we noticed that, you know, some people will give us the information, some people get pissed off, but you're right. Like this is a much better way of asking that. Yeah.
Yep. So I found this is like a little bit less abrasive. So we usually ask that. And then, you know, that's only if it doesn't work out. And then I do like to ask this question, you know, what is your ideal scenario or situation that if we were, you know, able to offer you the right price? Basically, like tell me exactly what you're trying to accomplish and what would be perfect for you. You know, oh, I want to leave all my stuff. I want to move out. I need this amount of money for this. And another question that I always ask is, are you looking to get the highest price or the simplest process? If they say the highest price, I'm like, hey, I'll be honest with you. We're unfortunately not the highest price. If you want to get the highest price, I suggest that you list it on the market with a real estate agent. I can put you in touch with them. Of course, then you're going to have realtor fees. You're going to have to deal with all the other stuff and tell them, you know, the details of it. But I actually push away at that point a little bit and let them know, like, you know, I'm here to help. This is other things.
That's a really good question. I want to say like we're going to add that, like, that's a really, really good question. Number 9. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I use that one a lot. Because again, I'm on their side, honestly. Like I like to help people. And if they say, hey, I want the highest price, well, we're definitely not the highest price. I mean, we're investors and like, I'm just straight up honest with them. I also let people know our goal is obviously to buy the property for the lowest amount possible, because the lower that we buy the property, the lower risk we have at losing money. And we have lost money before. Does that make sense? And then usually they're like, yeah, that makes sense, because it does make sense. These are questions that we ask that I actually got a lot from Alex Hormozy. But these are questions that you can use. And again, you don't have to do it in this order. You don't have to do this, you know, all the times. You don't have to ask all of these questions, but I just ask questions to try to really understand what it is they're trying to accomplish. Like, what's your goal right now? Why is that important to you? Well, I want $100,000. Why that number specifically? What are your next steps? You know, like stuff like that, just so I can get a better understanding about what they're trying to accomplish. Because if I don't know what they're trying to accomplish, then I can't help them. And this is just to get a better understanding of their past. Well, what have you tried so far? Well, I talked to a realtor, they said, I could list it for this. Well, why didn't you list it with them? And then find out why they didn't list it with them. How long have you been thinking about selling before? So you can stay in this entire, process of building rapport and finding out about the property, finding out about their situation, for as long as you feel that you need to, until you feel that you have sufficient information that you feel that you can help them. And then you can also help them move forward, because in this time, this is going to be all of the time that you're going to be getting all of your resources to help them make a decision later. We call it closing. I don't really like to call it that, because honestly, you're helping the person to make a decision to move forward. So they're going to say things like, well, I don't want to make a rash decision. Well, you told me earlier when I asked you, how long have you been thinking about selling? You've been thinking about doing this for a year now. So it doesn't sound to me like you're making a very rash decision. So like you can use this as ammo to remind them of what they said earlier, and you should be taking notes on this. But once you feel that you got sufficient information, you're going to move on to step 3. So this is a question that they asked in the chat: how you get the price down. This is the best way that I have found to get the price down. I've used this so many times, so I know it works very, very well. So what I say is, one, I say, how much were you hoping to get? Everybody knows in sales, the first person who says the first number to lose loses. So they never, ever want to tell you the first number, but here's a way to get that first number. If they don't want to give it to you, what I usually do is say, well, what are other homes in the area selling for? Now they give you a number. Now, if they say other homes are selling for 200, don't just assume that now they want 200. You say, okay, is that how much you were hoping to get? Well, no, mine needs a little bit more repair, so I'll do 180 on mine. Okay, perfect. Then you ask, once they give you a number, you can move on to the next one. Okay, if I was able to offer you cash and close quickly, what would be the lowest you'd be willing to accept? Because first you say, how much were you hoping to get? Now you're asking what the lowest they'd be willing to accept is. So let's just say they said 180 before. I would say 95% of the time they will go down off of that. Sometimes they do stay where they're at. Most of the time they're going to go lower. So let's just say it was 180. Then they said, you know what? I could probably do 170, but I really don't want to do lower than that. This is a testing question. I just test them with this. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to go out there and take a look at it or put it under contract either way, but I still just test and see how firm they are on that number. I say, so if I was unable to offer you 170, should I not even come out and tell you what I can do? So all I'm doing is testing to see how solid they are on that number. If they will not give you a price, which does happen, by the way, because again, people always think that whoever gives out the first number loses. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I still try to get the number first to see, because then I don't have to throw out a number. But if they're not, what I do is I go so low that I know if they say yes, they're going to be I'm going to be extremely happy. But I always push it off on other people. I say, hey, looks to me like other investors are paying anywhere from 90 to 95,000. If another investor were to offer you that, what would you say? Well, I would say, no way. There's no way I would ever offer that. Okay, I completely understand. Well, how much were you hoping to get for it? And then bam, go right back into it, because now you gave them a number. Now they feel safe to give you what they're actually hoping to get for it, because you threw out the first number. Now they were actually say something. So that's basically what we do if they don't get it, and we flush out their number. You want that number to be extremely low, which you have to gain control because they might get mad. But remember that this is what other investors are willing to pay. So then usually after that, I say, I understand we were just basing that off of the estimated repairs that you said need to be done. How much were you hoping to get? Or you can say, a lot of times we're able to pay more than other investors because we have rentals, flips, or, whatever. How much were you hoping to get? If they say no way, I would accept that. So there's a couple different ways to still come back off of that and still have the seller be on your side. So from there, this is going to be, it just really depends on if you're virtual wholesaling or if you're going to go in person. From there, you just scheduling the appointment. So, hey, it sounds to me like we're in the ballpark. It's obviously going to come down to exact cost and what the repairs are going to be. So it wouldn't be a good time for us to come out there, take a look. And Emily, if you have partners, this would be a time that you introduce, like, I'm going to have my contractor come out, verify all the information that you gave me, or I'm going to have my partners come out there, take a look, whatever you want to say at that time. Wouldn't it be a good time? And then you could say, we'd like to put this in writing now, because I think we're in the ballpark, and then we'll just verify all the information if you're virtual wholesaling, and then you can send your runner out there for photos and stuff. Whenever you try to set an appointment, it's interesting how many people, even if you agree on price, try to get off the phone. They want to get off there. They want to talk to somebody else. They don't want to move forward. So they're going to say, well, I'm going to have to talk to my tenant, or I'm going to have to talk to my wife and let you know. They will not call you back. What they're going to do is they're going to take your number now that you just told them, and they're going to go shop. So it's very, very important to set this time. So what you say, like, well, I'll talk to my tenant and I'll let you know. This has worked so well for me, and I've practiced it so many times. Okay, no problem. We can set a tentative time, which we can reschedule if necessary. When do you think would be convenient for you? And they're like, well, I mean, maybe Friday. Or if they don't give you a time, say, I'm available Friday. Does morning, evening, or afternoon work best for you? And try to get a time. Even if you get a time and they have to reschedule, it's okay, because now they're actually more likely to contact you again and talk to you, because now they already set that next time, and then they have to talk to you again. Otherwise they feel bad. If you never set anything, they may ghost you, and it is so hard to get them back. And if you can absolutely not get an appointment, then you need to just say, when will I hear back from you? And if I don't hear back from you, then is it okay if I follow up? Because now they're giving you permission to follow back up with them. And then this is something I'm working on. I don't actually have it all planned out yet, but setting expectations. Again, Emily, we talked a little bit about this on yours. So you could set the expectations. Hey, whenever he comes out there, he's going to be taking photos. He's going to be doing this. From that appointment, what we'll probably do is have, one more person come through. And you can explain that however you want, but as long as you explain them the process up front, it won't be a surprise. And you don't have to tell them, yeah, I don't have the money for it, I'm going to go find somebody that does. Like, you don't have to say that. You just have to let them know that there's going to be two different people walking through, and just give them an expectation of what they should expect to happen. As long as you give those proper expectations, it's going to be okay. And then I'm still working on this, because sometimes what I've noticed is we've come out to appointments, we've been in the range, we're all the way there, and then we get there, we give them the offer, we're ready to write up. They're like, oh no, I got to think about it. So realistically, what I'm going to continue to work on, and that you guys should probably create if you guys are doing this, is an expectation that when I come out there, we are there to take everything that we talked about and put it in writing. I want a yes or a no at the end of this conversation. Or if you're virtual wholesaling, you could try to lock it up right there. Or tell them, that you're going to have another manager call in. But that is basically our script and our flow that we use on every single phone call, and it's worked out really well for us. So,
no, man, this is really good, man. Like, some of the questions that you have, like, even though we're asking about the same thing, but the way you worded them just totally changes the script. Mitchell, you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. And I'll second what you just said, like just some of the stuff, like, are you looking for the highest priced or the simplest process? I love that, man. That's awesome. I guess I've got two questions. First one is, this sounds more like a lead manager script, or somebody that's a single person. So is this what you have your lead managers doing when they're qualifying?
So yeah, we only have one acquisitions guy right now. He's a freaking beast. He's probably gotten us 130 properties in a year, and he's 19 years old. So that's all we have right now. We actually don't have cold callers or anything like that. We just do a lot of direct mail and TV ads and different things like that. So yeah, he would be considered a lead manager.
Okay, so he just does everything, lead management and acquisitions, just the whole pipeline.
Yep. He's even doing the texting right now, which we're going to take him off of because it's very cold leads and we want to get him more on the hot stuff. But as of right now, he's been doing all of it. But yeah, we're going to take him off of that and have some interns, cold calling and stuff like that, where I'll be training those salespeople. But yeah, right now he's doing absolutely everything.
That's really good. Yeah, to do 130 deals and doing all of that lead manager acquisition and some prospecting. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's a beast. Once he gets it under contract, he's done. So he sends the contract, he gets it, we take it from there. We do absolutely everything from there. He doesn't think about the flip, he doesn't think about the rehab, he doesn't think about the transaction, he doesn't have to contact the seller at all anymore after that. So we try to okay, that's your step, is just lock them up. And then after that, we take everything from there.
And are you guys doing virtually, or are you guys going on appointments, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Like when you say virtually, it's like within a 45-minute radius. So we could drive out there, but sometimes we just don't. We don't see them. We don't drive out there or anything like that. So it's kind of virtual, but we could drive there if we wanted to. But we have not expanded outside of a 45-minute radius yet.
Right. Everybody on your team is local in the area, right? And then so yeah, it just makes sense to go on appointment. Like we do the same thing. Yeah. All right. Anybody else has any? Yeah, go ahead.
I had one more question to that. A follow up. So the easiest thing to do is to kind of go through that script. The hard part is when you can't qualify them. So when you're trying to qualify somebody and they just don't fit the bill. I do a lot of SMS marketing, so I get a lot of those in. A lot of these just tire kickers, and you just can't qualify them. Did you, and I didn't see anywhere in there, do you have like a script or something you say when you're struggling to qualify them and it's not matching up?
Give me an example. Give me an example of what somebody would say whenever you're saying like you can't qualify them, because I've never experienced that, and I can usually I've been in sales for a long time, so I just kind of like go with the flow on it, and I know that's my structure.
You know, there's no vexations, no pain points. They won't retail. You know, it's just like some of the questions you were asking, you know, like, you know, are you looking for the highest price, the simplest process? Well, I mean, I want as much as I can get. You know, like
I would say,
when they come back with those kind of answers, and even after that, you know, well, have you considered talking to a realtor? Oh, yeah, I mean, I can get a realtor. You know, like those kind of people. They won't retail. They don't. We can't serve them. Like we just wouldn't be a good service for them, right? We just not going to be a good fit.
perfect. Yeah. So what you should do there is disqualify them. That's what I try to let our sales guy know, is like, for me, and it's also a frame of mind too. Whenever you're in sales, you should be excited to get them out of your pipeline, because like that's an exciting thing. Because whenever you keep following up with these people and they're not a deal, and you know they're not a deal, you dread calling them. You're like, oh man, I don't want to call them. But guess what? Like, it's our responsibility and our duty to call them. So we call them, and I'm so happy when they're like, you know what? I just wanted retail for my property. I'm sorry I reached out. I'm like, okay, hey, no worries. Thank you so much for letting me know. Now I never have to follow up with you again. And I'm excited to get them out of my pipeline. So yeah, that's a struggle I would see with new people, is they don't know whenever something's not a deal. So if somebody were to say to me, you know, hey, I want the most money for my property. Hey, that's awesome. I can definitely help you with that. I actually have another real estate agent that I work with. Have you talked to any realtors? Yeah, I've been talking to this person or whatever. Well, why haven't you listed with them? Well, I'm not really sure if I want to sell yet. Gotcha. And then you just ask more questions, digging in. Well, why what's got you like second guessing selling? Well, you know, I'm not sure if I should get this amount or how much I want. Well, in the perfect scenario, in the perfect world, how much would you be wanting to get for it? And then find out if it's retail. Cool. Yeah, I think your best bet is to go with a real estate agent, and that's okay. That means that it's not our realm. But what I would try to do is still earn a referral off of it if it were me, because I have an agent that I send them to. I actually have my real estate license, but I don't have enough time to list them. So I just refer them out, and then I get it that way. So it's okay to deal with people like that. Just, you have to ask the right questions and find out if it's for you, or you like if you can help them or if you cannot. But either way, I still try to point them in the right direction. That way they know. And then I might say, hey, do you have any other properties that you'd be interested in selling, maybe for a little bit less money than what, you know, retail is? Or you can tell them that's retail. We don't buy for retail. It's okay to like just be straight up with people.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have much problem with it, but it's kind of hard getting somebody, you know, on your team to kind of, especially when they're new, to have that conversation with people. It's kind of tough. So I was thinking, you know, I want to put something like that in a script form so that if they say no, let's go this route, and kind of give them an idea of what to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So your AM's doing 130. Does he go on appointments? Does he view, or is he doing it virtually?
Yeah, he goes on appointments too. He's a
He goes
freaking
on. Yeah,
impressive.
that's
And that's
beastly.
awesome. Like you guys must have really good conversion from appointments to contracts.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah. Before he was we would go on the appointments. He would go on the appointments with us, and a lot of times he uses me as the closer, and like so he's got them very close. And then if he needs help closing them, then that's when I come in, or I'll go on the appointments with him if he thinks it's going to be a difficult one. But he's a beast, and yeah, we've practiced sales a lot, and he learned a shortcut, and he works hard.
Yeah. And so what I would try to do is, like, this is something we've started doing, is like when we're not getting a number and we think this is going to be somebody not qualified, we're just throwing a number at 50% of Zillow. Honestly, that's what my lead manager, just to see kind of how they react. If they're like completely pissed off, we just put them on a long-term follow-up campaign. If they're like, okay, you know, this could work, then we move it forward from there. So
Yeah.
just to throw a number out there. I mean, if they're not, just no matter what you try, they're not willing to throw a number, I would just, at least in our market, we'd use 50% of Zillow and just throw it out there and see what they respond.
Yeah, that's a great idea, actually, is you could use that other one that I talked about. And again, hey, you know, they said they want 150,000. You think it's worth 150? Just say, well, it looks like other investors are paying around 75 to 80. What would you say if another investor were to offer you that? That's a way to test them, because a lot of times they put on this show like they're acting like, I want this amount. Then you actually throw out a number and they're like, well, maybe I will accept. Then you could hear that they're actually thinking about it. So yeah, that's a great point.
Couple of questions. Hey, do you have any KPIs, Dakota, that you want to share about direct mail? Kind of in terms of marketing channel, what's your ROI on that, response rate, and if that's changed in last, few months or so?
Sure. So actually that's something that I was talking to you about a couple of weeks ago is we don't track our KPIs very well. I have a guesstimate, but it's not solid. And that's something that we need to do. We're starting to spend a stupid amount of money on marketing. And I just talked to my business partner about that. I'm like, dude, we spend like $12,000 to $15,000 a month on marketing. Like it's time to start tracking our stuff. But I would say, we send out about 1,000, somewhere between 700 and 1,000 letters, a week. And we probably get, I don't know, 15 to 20 calls. And I would say out of those, we probably get 2 to 3 deals, like contracts a month. And then I would say, yeah, and I would say 50% of the people that call us of the 20, it's probably like, F off, like 50% is like, don't ever send me this again and take me off your list, and they're pissed. And then the other 10% or the other half, which is like 10, then that's going to be the people that we're actually following up with, talking to and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could suggest a good software to track your KPIs for direct mail. Another question from Camilo. What payment structure do you have for your AM?
AM.
Okay, you pay for your acquisition person? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's an interesting pay structure. So we pay him off of, he's 100% commission. We pay him 10% of net profit. So he gets paid whenever we flip the property. He gets 10. And then every deal that he gets after 5, he gets another percent. So let's say he gets 6, he gets 11%, then 12%, then 13, then 14, then 15. He maxes out at 15%. And that's not retro back. That's just on each deal. So when he's been getting 15 to 20, he's making 15% of net profit on all of it. So this year he is like going to make like 160 or 170 this year. And I think next year he's going to make like 300,000, honestly, because the process is so long. He's gotten so many deals he hasn't gotten paid on. The interesting thing is, so that's based on net profit, obviously, for wholesale. And then one other thing that I will mention is we have a pack, what we call a pack. I was in the car business. So in car business, we had pack. That's like cost. That's cost to us. That's marketing cost. That's overhead. That's like whatever we provide for him. There's a $2,000 pack. So if we net 20 grand, he's making $1,800, which is 10%, because you take 20 minus the $2,000 pack, then he gets 10% of that. But the net, I'll just show you guys really quick, actually.
And then do you give him any advance, or you just pay him only after the deal closes?
Only after the deal closes.
Got it.
Yep. So give me 1 second. So commission sheet template.
Yeah, your tab is visible. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was looking in the other one. So basically, like, let's just say right here, the buying price, insurance, money cost, repairs, utilities, rent, that would actually go on the other side over here, where it's going to go on like the sold price. Because if we collected rent, that gets added to the net profit proration. So that's the time that we held it. And then marketing costs are all in costs. And then let's just say we sold it for 40,000, then net profit would be here. And then he gets, $1,800. And then if he got his bonus, he'd be at 15%. So if we made 18, he'd make $2,700. So that's basically the way that we structure with him. And yeah, there's different ways that you can structure it. Obviously, salespeople can get draws. That's what I got whenever I was in car sales. So that means like, it's a very small amount, like $300 a week, which is a draw. And then whenever I get a commission, then I have to pay back that draw. So you can at least get something weekly. But honestly, if you have a really good sales guy, which I was a really good sales guy, and he is obviously a really good sales guy, they're going to make so much more money on 100% commission structure. But you can also have another structure for the people who may not be secure in their ability to do it. Because honestly, there's a lot of anxiety there. Like I had anxiety for 4 years, like while I was doing car sales, and I made decent money. Like my first year,
you weren't doing so bad, winning, employee of the month, pretty much every month.
Yeah. And like, I still had anxiety, even though I was like, still like getting that. So, and it took me 4 years to finally calm down and be like, okay, like I have abilities. Cause in sales, you go up and down. You're like, man, I'm really good. Then the next month you're like, dude, I don't even, did I just get lucky? And you go up and down all the time. So in sales, if you have somebody that it maybe doesn't have the same personality is like me or like him, then you can put them on a salary or a draw and have a lower commission, but they should make less money if they're doing it like that, because obviously you're fronting some money in that sense. So it's a little bit more risky for you. So it makes sense to pay them maybe a little bit less of a percentage.
Yeah, I have a situation for you. If we can just role play, like this is actually a property that we looked at yesterday, and then we're going to be making an offer on today. So let's just pretend I'm the seller, and let's say you call me, and let's just go through that. Is that okay?
Yep. So you want me to be the seller?
No, I'm going to be the seller,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
Yeah.
you be the buyer. Cool.
Perfect.
Hello.
Hey, this is Dakota with LTD. How can I help?
Hey, so just for background, this lead came in from PPC, or Need to Sell My House Fast, right? So we got, I think it came from Need to Sell My House Fast, if I remember correctly. We got the lead coming in, came into recently. My lead manager reached out, and then kind of set up an appointment at that point, and my acquisition person went out. So let's just start with there, where I've already come out. Like, you've come out for the appointment, and I'm the seller. Cool.
Okay, so I've already seen the property.
No, you haven't seen the property. You've talked to my lead manager. You filled out a form on Need to Sell My House Fast. We got the lead. We reached out to you, set up an appointment for the acquisition person for you to come out and look at the property. And then you're trying to get a contract at that point.
Okay, I think I
Cool.
got it.
All right. Hello.
Hey, this is Dakota. How can I help?
Hey, so yeah, I mean, somebody from your team called. I spoke to someone from your team about coming and looking at the property. Are you guys still coming out to look at the property?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, they gave us some information about it and said that you were interested in selling it. So I have a little bit of the details, but do you mind sharing a little bit more information with me?
Yeah, sure. What questions do you have?
So basically, I just was curious what the situation was. Like, was it vacant? Are you living there? What's the situation with it?
No, we're living at the property. We're looking to just downsize and sell this property.
Okay, gotcha. And then I cannot remember, was there any repairs that need to be needed on it?
A little bit. I mean, we did replace the roof a couple of years ago. We've done some work with the plumbing, but it does need some work done to it.
Gotcha. Okay. And then how long have you been thinking about selling for?
Uh, Say like in last few months, just looking to
Gotcha.
downsize. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no worries. And then what would your ideal situation be? If I were able to offer you the right price, like what would be the perfect scenario for you?
Just get as much money as possible for the property, and then buy the property that we want to buy.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have another property that you're interested in purchasing?
Yeah, so we want to downsize from this property, and then buy another property to move into.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's awesome. Did you already have that one under contract, or what's the situation with that one?
No, we want to wait to sell this one and then look at the next property.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. No worries. Okay, is there a balance that we would need to pay off on this property?
I'm not sure at this point. I'll have to check with my bank.
Oh, gotcha. So you do have a mortgage on it though?
Yeah, there is, but I don't remember how much it is.
Oh, okay. No worries. Do you have like a rough estimate by chance?
No, not really. I'll have to look into my bank statement.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. And then do you know how much you're like hoping to get for like a down payment for your next property, or what's the situation with that?
I mean, ideally, we want to get the most money possible from this house and then use as much as we can for the down payment to have, with the interest rate, how high they are, we want to have, the lowest monthly payment that we can. We're a little bit old, elderly. So, we're on a budget. So we're going to make sure we're able to put down a lot of money and then have very small monthly payments. So yeah, I mean, the goal is to get as much money as we can from this house.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So are you trying to get the highest price or the simplest process?
Ideally, a little bit of both.
Yeah, I know. I wish that was always the case. It always seems like, the way to get the most money is to list it on the market. But the simplest process would obviously be like, if somebody came in, bought it as is, there's no appraisals, no contingencies, and anything. And a lot of times, real estate agents will tell you, oh, it'll be so easy, but they don't know who, the buyer is going to be. They don't know who the appraiser is going to be. They don't know who the inspector is going to be. They don't know who the underwriter is going to be for the person buying it if they're getting a loan on it. But the nice thing is with our process, we know who all of them are because that's going to be us. So for us, we can obviously give you the simplest process, but it definitely will not be the highest price. So, I mean, if you had to pick one, would it be the highest price or would you say the simplest process?
That's the simplest process without giving away the house.
Yeah, no question. Well, obviously we wanted to make sure that it's a win-win. So did you have like an asking price in mind or like how much were you hoping to get for it?
I mean, at this point, what we're doing is we're having a few people come look at the house, and then, we're going to see what different offers are, and then honestly go with the highest offer at that point.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And do you already have a couple other appointments then?
Yes, we do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, no worries. So how much were you hoping to get? Like, if they all came out there, they give you an offer, how much are you kind of hoping for?
I mean, we have a number in mind, but as long as the number is above kind of what we have in mind, then we want to go with the highest offer, because at this point, everybody that we've talked to, they're all, are offering us basically buying the house as is without any repairs needed to the house. So we want to go with the highest offer that we get. I mean, we've decided we want to sell the house. This might just a matter of, if we can get the highest offer.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, gotcha. And then what are other homes selling for in the area?
They're selling for about 200 to 250 fixed up.
Oh, wow. Gotcha. Okay. And then how much were you thinking your property was worth in the condition that it's in?
It's about 175 to 180
Okay.
condition that it's in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, no worries. And then let me ask you this. I mean, if we were able to offer you cash and close quickly, I mean, what would be the lowest you'd be willing to accept that you could just cancel all your other appointments and we could move forward with us?
I don't think I want to cancel all my other appointment. I think I still want to see the other offers from people that are coming out. We've already set the appointments. At this point, I just think it's fair for other people to come out and make an offer.
Okay, no worries. Well, what are you looking for in the offer? Like, what would be the perfect offer for you to where, you could be very happy with working with somebody?
I mean, if we can get about 160 and can close in a couple of weeks without having to do any repairs and then sell it as is, that would be ideal. But again, that's our minimum number. But we want to have a couple of people come out and look at the house and make us an offer that makes sense.
Sure, I'm with you. Okay. And then have you gotten a chance to look up our company at all?
No, not really. Yeah.
Okay. No worries. I'll say, because, to you, it sounds like you think a lot of the other investors are, very similar, they're offering you cash as is. But what I've noticed is, sometimes whenever people come out, they may not actually have the money or the reputation that we do. So if you've got a chance to look us up, we have, 5-star review rating on Google, and we have over 100 people that we've worked with, honestly, in similar situations. So if we were able to give you everything that you wanted, and maybe even give you a little bit more, I mean, would you consider moving forward with us and going with us first?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, as long as the numbers make sense and the terms of the offer make sense, yeah, then I think I would be willing to do that.
Okay, perfect. Well, that sounds perfect. So when would be a good time for us to come out, take a look, and then we'd like to be the first people to come out there, take a look?
I mean, if you want to come out today or tomorrow morning, that would be like you guys would be the first one coming out.
Perfect. Well, I'm available actually right now. Is it okay if I stop by in the next 30 minutes?
Yeah, that works.
Perfect. And then the only thing that I ask is whenever we do come out, that I just get a yes or a no. And of course, we're going to try to give you everything that you actually want in the offer. I mean, would that be fair if we take everything that we talked about and put it in writing and give me a yes or a no by the end of it?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, man, that was good. Yeah, I could tell that you were trying to get a number out of me. Just like basically coming back to the same question. That was good. Like I started, even though I don't have a house to sell, I started feeling the pressure, man. I have to give him a number. Yeah, so that was really good.
The
What about you guys? Did you guys have any follow-up questions or thoughts on that? I know I was just trying to play a little bit hardball with you, but that's a situation that kind of we have right now. We went and looked at a house yesterday. The person said that, hey, we have 2 other companies coming out. We're going to go with the highest offer. But I really like the script that you had. I'm going to have my acquisition person go and, watch this.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully we get this house. If not, then it'll be good for the future.
Yeah, and I want to say one other thing too. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I could tell you playing hardball, but it's funny because I was in the same scenario and somebody asked me, I'm wholesaling a property to another investor, and he's asking me, what's the lowest you're willing to accept? And then you know what I do? I tell him the number. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff works. I was like, even when I know exactly what's happening, what he's doing, I still feel an obligation because of the way that I asked the question. And like, it's reciprocal. You want to give the person what they're asking for. And like, whenever you say numbers, then like it's a give and take. So it's interesting how even me, in the sales experience that I have, if I get asked that same question, I just give an answer. And I'm like, dude, I just cut myself $5 grand.
It's almost like you just get off my back, man. Here's your number. Yeah, no, that was good. I mean, that was good just trying to get a number out. I think that would definitely help with our acquisition cost. Any of you other guys have any questions or situations that you guys run into that you want to unmute and ask yourself or put it in the chat? Zach said someone read you can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. I guess it's a book.
Someone read. I've never even
Yeah, I've never heard of that book. Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. Hey, Dakota, this was really good, man. And then, so you do this once a week with the people that you have in your group. So if you want to share a little bit about that, and if somebody's interested, like what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do this in two different ways. One would be with Future Flipper, which obviously have to be a part of their program. So you can sign up for the rookie program or anything like that if you wanted to get sales calls that way. But I actually do it for myself on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then it's $150 a month. So it's honestly pretty inexpensive. But what I do is I train our acquisitions guy at the same time that I'm training everybody else. So it doesn't take me any more time to train you guys. And so that's why I can do it so cheap. So I always tell people that, knowing this thing and just like, you just heard it all and you're like, oh man, that sounded so easy. Well, the reason it's easy is because I've done this thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And that's the funny thing is sales is so repetitive. You will continue to do this over and over. And you're like, dude, this is annoying. But then you just like, whenever you're on a call, you can just do it like without even thinking about it. And then you can be doing other things while you're talking to the person, building the rapport. So that's what we try to create in the sales process is we really want you to be not thinking about the script. You should have the script already embedded in your head. And now you're thinking about what is this person trying to accomplish? What is the ARV? How much repairs do I think need to be made? So you can be thinking about other things, not thinking about where you need to go out in the sales process. So that's what I try to do and try to teach you guys on Mondays. And it's basically like this, except for we go into breakout rooms where we actually do role playing. You're going to be forced to actually go back and forth. You have to speak. You have to say the stuff out loud. You think you can read the book? You think you're gonna be able to do it? Really good, I tried it. It did not work.
And I'm thinking of actually, I'm gonna have my lead manager do that because she's the one making us for us initial calls. Yeah, I mean, a couple of people asked, can you share like the details on this, how to get in touch? Like what's the best way to get started with this?
Yep. So you guys can message me. I'm going to actually type it in dakotabailey.in.
Yeah, we'll send out an email, also put it on our Facebook group if you want to share that information and put it in the chat also for people that want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, I'll give you guys my phone number, Instagram. You can just look up Dakota Bailey on Facebook. You guys will find me. And then, yeah, basically we'll get you set up. I just need your email and I'll get you set up with Stripe.
Did you put it in the chat or are you going to send it to me?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put it in the chat too.
Yeah, put it in the chat also so people want to get in touch with you. No, man, this is, you know what I really like is, also we're part of John Martinez sales training also, but it's very passive. I like the fact that you put people in the breakout room and you force them to talk. I think you could passively like watch your training, but when you actually have to talk, it's like a whole different experience. So I like that. I'm going to get my lead manager in that. So
awesome.
Yeah, man, I don't see your information. I don't know if you put it in the chat.
Oh my gosh, I've been sending it to Emily. Oh my gosh, she dragged message. I was just sending it all to her. I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, Zoom does
that. Going to everybody.
Yeah.
Emily, I'm sorry.
That's okay, man. All right, so it's dakotabailey.in.
That's my Instagram.
Okay.
And then go to baileyrealty@gmail.com, my phone number. So that should be everything. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, that's okay, man. And now you have everything. That's where you send the payment by check.
Do not send payments to that. Like that property I'm selling, and that would be the worst. Those tenants are the worst. So do not send it to that address.
No, man, this was really good. Really good call, man. Anybody else has any other questions, guys?
Really good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, man, really good stuff. Thank you, Dakota. Thanks, man. Guys, so we'll also send this information out by email so you guys have it, but he put everything in the chat. We'll put it on our Facebook group also and send this recording out to everyone. Dakota, you don't mind if you share like kind of the recording with your script, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. This was really good, man. Really a lot of value. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.